economic climate, there's a lot of talk about resilience. Resilience in business, resilience in the workplace. What is resilience?
Resilience right now is really the key skill that every single employee needs to have. It's the one thing that's not negotiable on a CV anymore, particularly because of organisational change and people having their job roles changed. Resilience is really a mindset where you are in problem-solving mode for as long as possible and as long as necessary, and it's that you have a very clear distinction of what you can control and what you cannot control. And people, when they're not resilient, tend to lose perspective. And then they suffer from emotions like panic and anxiety in the workplace.
So what does resilience look like in an individual, and how can it be demonstrated?
There are 4 phases to resilience. The first one would be the ability to overcome childhood obstacles. Sometimes people are in different places, they've come from different backgrounds, they have different opportunities presented to them. Those people that can overcome maybe poverty situations or single parent families, those sorts, and then go on to be extremely successful. So overcoming childhood obstacles would be one phase. A second phase of resilience would be where you can actually steer through day-to-day adversity. Not everyone has the same set of circumstances. Like, for example, the disabled people in the workplace have completely different challenges from people who are able-bodied. So that's a representation of resilience, steering through your day-to-day adversity. Or child rearing situations where you have to juggle conflicts between work and home. A third phase of resilience would be, say for example, you had to come through some sort of trauma, illness, cancer, anything at all, any sort of debilitating illness where you bounce back from trauma, or something happened where you were caught up in an incident. It's how quickly you can recover from that. That's an actual example of what resilience would look like, your speed of recovery. And the fourth phase of resilience is really about taking the emphasis off yourself, reaching out to others, and to actually seeing opportunities and moving beyond really the world of yourself. So it's getting a new perspective and a wider perspective.
So what does resilience look like in an individual, and how is it measured?
Resilience is a skill that actually can be learned. Believe it or not, adversity is actually an advantage that helps you build resilience. So people expect not to have adversity when they're actually thinking the wrong way about it, because adversity is the advantage. There are 7 different competencies that measure resilience. The first competency would be emotion regulation. You've got to be aware of your emotions, and you've got to self-check emotions, particularly the emotions of anxiety and fear and embarrassment. There are 5 particular emotions that you have to be worried about because they're the ones that kill resilience. Also, you need to check how accurate you are in your thinking, because if you determine the wrong cause of a problem, then you're going to put the wrong solution in place. So there's a competency called causal analysis, how you actually explain why something happened in the first place. A third competency with resilience is to be realistically optimistic. A lot of people think that optimism is about the blue sky stuff. It's realistic. Blind optimism is as dangerous as pessimism, so you're looking for realistic optimism, which is actually accurate and flexible thinking. And you need to be flexible when you're faced with problems and how you think about them. A fourth competency that can be tested that's part of resilience is impulse control. Do you react or do you respond? And how do you make the decisions to choose in various situations? One of the ways I test this sometimes is check out with people, if you've got a credit card. I always ask people, do you have a credit card? And most people will say yes in today's climate. Then I also ask them, do you clear the balance at the end of each month? If the answer is no, then you've got issues with impulse control. So there's little self-checks where you can look at various things, but impulse control is very important, and very important for the younger generation in this market, because we're in an instant society. The fifth competency that would be related to resilience is empathy, the ability to get into someone else's shoes to see it from their perspective. That's taking the emphasis off yourself as well and looking at it from somebody else's point of view. And sometimes when you see the bigger picture, that in itself brings a different viewpoint to the overall problem. Empathy is a huge skill that's needed now for the 21st century and in the workplace, and something that's lacking, and particularly important to managers. The sixth skill in the competency framework would be something they call self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is your own understanding of your ability, your self-mastery. Self-efficacy is the opposite of self-esteem. Self-esteem is how you feel. Self-efficacy is how you think you're doing in the world. Are you matching your own expectations of what you set for yourself? And the last skill is really reaching out, which is reaching out to others, which is getting into a world bigger than yourself and reaching out to see opportunities in life.